Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Uninformed Fan. We are live from the Man Cave here in Orlando, Florida. I am your host, TRL Business Time. Tyson, with me as always, my good friend, and spot on as always with his takes, Jeffrey off of the Schneid. Jeffrey, how are we doing today, my friend?
Doing okay. It was a good weekend. A lot of work this weekend. Didn't get to watch a lot of games, but I know we're going to dive into some stuff and talk about it. Just laying low. I woke up today, and my oldest is sick as a dog, so we making a short trek over to the doctor here with both the kids in about 2 or 3 hours. So not really looking forward to that, as he's not, but it is what it is.
It is nice that you managed to kick him out of his own bed, though, in order to do the show today. So we appreciate his sacrifice in this endeavor as we continue to inform fans.
First. Yeah, I told him he had to make the bed first. So I said, listen, you got to get out, but you do need to make the bed before you leave, because I'm not doing it today. You're home. And he literally drug out of here like Linus with his, or Lionel. What's the kid's name with the blanket, and Charlie Brown?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. We're working feverishly behind the scenes here. I just got a few texts and emails. We do have some breaking news, which we're going to, kind of cut away from our monologue here a little bit to start with. It's that breaking.
What happened?
And it appears that, I don't know whose boy I want to call. I don't know if he's anybody's boy. But old Lamar Jackson is back in the news again. It appears that he released via his social media gram after, DMing me first, of course, that he requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens on March 2nd. I do believe, and I know Jeremy is looking this up, we're trying to figure out exactly when the Ravens applied the franchise tag. I do believe it was after that, but very, very interesting developments here in the Lamar Jackson. We might as well call it the Lamar Jackson saga at this point, because it really is a soap opera at this point.
Yeah, interesting. So he requests a trade. I would be curious to see when they exactly tagged him, what that date was. I don't know if maybe I can look it up real quick and find out.
March 7th. He just tuned in. March 7th.
Okay, so March 7th, and he requested a trade on the 2nd.
But
so they knew that he wanted a trade. And basically, they said, if you want to trade for Lamar, it's the minimum asking price is going to be two first round picks, and that's going to be only if you decide to sign him to a greater deal than what we're going to put out there right now. Power move. Good job by the Ravens.
Exactly,
Lamar.
but again, I can't say. Once again, we talk about this all the time, and I can't say it sucks for Lamar because I don't know what Lamar is asking for. That's all we want out here in the sports world. Just Lamar, what are you asking for? Just give us just a little tip. Just get a little tidbit, just a little tidbit. Just let us
a little bit of milk.
Just just give us a little squeeze,
bit of milk.
Little squeeze, little one drop. But you're right. What an absolute power move by the Baltimore Ravens to sit there and say, okay, well, you want to get traded. We're not going to go through the negotiations for you. We're not going to put you out there and talk to other teams on your behalf to try to get rid of you. We're going to non-exclusively franchise tag you, so we know that, hey, at least the minimum we're taking is 2 first-round picks for you. And, with that being said, I don't think that 2 first-round picks is too much to ask for Lamar Jackson. If not, they should be able to get more. He's a young quarterback. He's coming off his rookie. He has put up some amazing numbers. He had an MVP season. The only question mark to Lamar Jackson is, can he stay healthy with the play style that he plays? And can a team devise an offense to go around him? Because let's be honest, Lamar Jackson is not a standalone pocket passer. He needs to be in a specific type of offense that is going to showcase his skills. So, I mean, at this point, I think we've seen that not too many NFL teams are stepping up to the plate to be able to do this, to make this offer for him. So to see that came out, that he wants to leak that information, right? So he wants to leak that and say that he requested a trade. Lamar, I'm asking you, begging you, please, leak what you want. Leak the contract. What was offered. If it was the $130 million guaranteed, you're absolutely right. That's underpaid. You should be at least at the 160, 150 area, in my opinion, which is pretty standard for what most of these quarterbacks have get. But if you're so disrespected and you actually requested a trade because of that, and I can only imagine that he requested a trade because of that contract, because he did feel disrespected. So if that's it, and if it's that disrespectful, Leak it out. Let's all jump on the Lamar Jackson is not getting paid, is being blackballed bandwagon, and let's rally together and get a man a contract somewhere. But it's very, very interesting to me again that the Ravens, I mean, they're doing their due diligence. Their due diligence. I don't see it happening.
That was a tongue twister right there for you, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, listen, until another team steps up to the plate, there is nothing else that matters. Now, speaking of people who haven't signed contracts yet or things haven't come to fruition, we're still waiting on the Aaron Rodgers news to drop as well, too. You know? I mean, if you're the Jets and you've done all this, at what point do you say, you know what? I'm just going to go after Lamar instead. I don't care.
I just think
it's not worth it to me.
Let me ask you this question. So, if the Green Bay Packers are offering 2 first-round or wanting 2 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers, who, let's be honest, is on the back end of his career, this is going to be a loan type thing, right? Where you're basically, selling your soul for the next 2 years, maybe 3, but probably 2 to try to win one now. And then you have to look at the offense, right? I mean, the offense is based off of the stuff that he ran in Green Bay. They brought the old Green Bay people over. Mm-hmm. I don't think Lamar fits in the offense. So if Lamar doesn't fit in the offense and the pieces that you put around to try to succeed with Aaron Rodgers, does it really make sense to give up 2 first-round picks and $40-50 million or whatever? Now, if you're looking at the longevity on a blank slate, obviously it's worth more, in my opinion, to give up 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson than Aaron Rodgers at this point. But again, like I just said, Lamar Jackson doesn't fit every offense. I don't know.
No. He doesn't, and you have to give up the first-round picks, and you have to devise an offense around him, and you have to make sure the players are good around him as well too, to be able to take pressure off of him. It's a tough ask, I understand, but he's a generational talent that we've seen in this league, and he deserves somebody to step up to the plate, and everybody not just turning their back in a blind eye to what's going on. I think it's kind of egregious.
It is a little bit egregious, but I'm gonna say it one last time before we move on. If we don't know what the number is, maybe it's an egregious number. I mean, because maybe he was unhappy with Baltimore. That's why he said, I want it all fully guaranteed. But he's basically basing it off Deshaun Watson, which he came out and said, I want Deshaun Watson's contract. So if every team is still in that mentality, and then if he doesn't get it, because let's say he dropped the guarantee to move on from Baltimore, right? But in the back of his head, he still feels disrespected because he's not going to get a fully guaranteed deal. So if I bring him in, what type of negotiations are going to happen 2-3 years down the road if he's going to be my franchise quarterback? I don't know. I think he's really, really hurting himself by not having an agent. And I've seen the other big name commentators, big name sports are talking about the agents are the ones that are basically cop blocking him here because they want a piece of his contract, and since they're not going to get a piece of his contract, they're going to ensure that he doesn't succeed anywhere else. I think that's complete baloney. Look at Roquan Smith, who negotiated his own contract at $20 million a year. There have been success stories out there. However, Lamar has a lot of intangible moving parts with him in regards to, like we just said, building an offense around. There's a lot of things that has to go with a quarterback. It's not just a linebacker that you can put into a scheme and he runs and tackles and does all those types of things. So that conspiracy theory to me is out there. But
just for you guys who haven't seen the tweet as well, just kind of how it reads real quick. As of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens for which the Ravens has not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that has met me or been around me know I love the game of football and my dream is to help a team win the Super Bowl. You all are great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family and I. Now, how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore Flock Nation and the entire state of Maryland. You'll see me again.
As you play against me.
Yes.
But again, right there.
Again in Washington, D.C.
Again, right there. The Ravens has not been interested in meeting my value. Okay. Fair enough if that's what you believe, but give us a ballpark, bro. Just give us a ballpark.
It's also the value that he has established for himself in his head, not what the market is responding to him and giving him the numbers on. So,
well, I mean, the market has to be, you got to look at Aaron Rodgers, right? $55-60 million a year. And then I also have seen some of these so-called analysts, berate Patrick Mahomes for not taking more when he did. And how he continued to set the market lower by not accepting a bigger deal. And if you listen to Patrick Mahomes talk, Patrick Mahomes has the Brady mentality where he doesn't need to be the complete, all the money goes to me type thing. He wants to have money around to build pieces around him. And I think that's the mentality that wins championships. You could pay a quarterback $60, $70 million a year, but if you don't have the pieces to go around them, I mean, what good is it? They can't do it all. I mean, I don't know. But, we talked about, we weren't going to talk about Lamar Jackson anymore in this stream until shit happens. And here we go. Once again, we're sucked into the Lamar Jackson debate.
NFL just drops little nuggets and pulls you right in,
Well, they do. When's the draft? 2 weeks? 15th?
April 22nd, I think.
Oh, okay, so we got about 3 more weeks. That's when things are going to really 22nd. Yeah.
22nd. Yeah.
That's when things are really going to heat up in the NFL. And as a Chicago Bears fan, obviously, I'm very, very excited for that. Well, moving in, we had a lot of action in March Madness on the hard court over the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday proved some great matchups and some really not good matchups, and a lot
out there, guys.
A lot of upsets that nobody predicted, except for one man. And one man only. Whoever, Dagon Klugman. And if I messed up your name, I completely am very, very sorry. But this man has UConn winning the national championship, and he is in the 98th percentage bractile. So, Dagon looking really good there. Looking really, really good. I have to give a shout out.
$500. Kohl's cash. Right in your pocket.
Kohl's cash. Kohl's cash. Amazon bucks.
Yeah, we forgot to tell you that it's going to be paid to you in Kohl's cash. We have a little surplus over here at the Uninformed Fan that we have to get rid of. So we appreciate your understanding in this. Kohl's is a great spot. There's one out in Claremont. Definitely go enjoy yourself. Get some merch on us.
I got some extra V-Bucks as well if you want to get some Fortnite for the kids.
By the way, not to get off on too big of a tangent, but have you seen what Fortnite just rolled out last week? I don't know if I asked you about.
I saw bits and pieces about the Unreal Engine 2.0 gameplay.
Creative 2.0, where you can basically take any game, any kind of gameplay, any mechanics whatsoever, and actually apply that in Fortnite. So you can literally play Call of Duty, Halo maps, Gears of War maps, as long as you can create it, and your brain can get there. It can be put onto Fortnite, and then if you go in and play that map, you generate revenue for your like whoever plays the map is generating revenue for you out of the revenue share from everything that's sold in the item shop as well.
That's absolutely crazy. Incredible thing. Fortnite is probably one of the most groundbreaking games that have ever been. It was the first, to pretty much go all digital, free, and continues to just reap the benefits of it. And, they care about the players. They listen to the players. They continue to put millions and millions of dollars in their tournaments. The Creative 2.0, they've always asked their content creators and the people out there, the ones that they give their code for in the shop where they get 5% of everything that anybody buys. They've always given back, and they've always given the players and the content creators a platform in order to do this type of stuff. So kudos to them. That is very, very interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of people that as soon as it went out, dropped the mini maps to try to get it in there first to be the first one on there. So I'll be curious to see what kind of maps that are on there.
So I saw they had a few that were already set up. Like they had the very first Fortnite map that was ever created that they dropped on there with Tilted and everything like that. And then there's people, I heard Tim the Tapman say he's going to hire a team to recreate Verdansk and just make like the Verdansk the way that we wanted it, but just have it with, Fortnite guns and, go from there.
I would have to think at some point you might get into some serious copyright issues. If you basically copy a map from another game.
I'm sure there's got to be some tweaks somewhere that
Well, I'm sure you're not going to be able to put in all the flowers. I didn't put a flower on this type of the map, so therefore it's a completely new map.
Yeah, I didn't put that shipping container in at airport.
Yeah.
So,
From the building of Fortnite to the hardwood of the NCAA, let's dive into it. We had some really, really great games. We had both number ones getting knocked out this week. Alabama and Houston both going down, which me and you both had them in our national championship game. And as I was watching it, I'll tell you, it always feels good to see Alabama go down, regardless of what I had in my bracket. My bracket was toast by then anyway. It's always nice to see Alabama lose. I don't know why. I do know why, exactly why. It's just always nice to see Alabama lose. But the Miami has really, really surprised me, and obviously San Diego State. Couple names that we didn't expect to see here moving on.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get to watch a ton of college basketball this weekend because I've been working, grinding for the man, if you will. But I did see a couple things that happened. Obviously, Miami makes their great run that they have as well. But also, I think the story of the tournament and one of the things that we're all kind of gravitating to is what's going on with FAU right now. In Florida Atlantic, we talked about, we thought that the way that they play the game, the 1 in 4 out, everybody can shoot the ball, everybody can handle the ball. You're a skip pass away from being able to cut through the defense and having them overreact to something. I thought it was incredible. I do know we do have a FAU expert that is here, that is on our group right now. And Jeremy, if you just want to chime in a little bit and talk a little bit about FAU, you've been on them for a while. You've been talking about their KenPom rating and RPI and all kinds of stuff. What did you see from FAU this weekend? And obviously, being a true believer like you are.
I really wish I'd listened to my own self so that I could still have FAU in the Final Four, at least in our group. But I saw what I saw this
that
weekend.
discredits everything.
Or at least some sweat equity with maybe taking them to win the tournament or something.
The fact that you don't have them in the Final Four, it just discredits everything. That's it.
I know. That's I'll stop talking now. What I did see was John L. Davis is the leader of that team. He put him on his back. He didn't lead them in scoring, so that stat's out the window. But what I did love was that they had 4 players, 4 of their starters in double figures, and all of them were better than 50% shooting from the floor. Golden, 6 of 11. Asia Martin, 6 of 11. John L. Davis was 5 of 12, so he was just under. And then Brandon Greenlee was a 4 of 7 from the field, 16 points. These guys, they just were getting to the basket. They were getting good looks. Golden was dominant inside. They had, I think there was like 3 of their first 4 possessions. They're lobbing it up on a little, they can go to him, and he's just stuffing it. And K-State had no answer. I mean, Keontae Johnson got a lot of fouls early. He had 2 fouls within the first 8 minutes of the game, so he was sitting. He comes back, it gets his 3rd foul. They say, okay. Gets his 4th foul a minute and a half later, and he's out. So Marquise Noel had to do everything. He finished with 30 points, another 12 assists. He was just – he couldn't do it by himself. He didn't have enough help. Tomlin tried to do it.
It's good that you point that. We are breaking down the K-State game here. We have moved on to the Saturday game. But yes, like what you were talking about, Jeremy, and when you said it before about how they were one of the top teams in the nation with the 3-point, what really stood out to me to begin with is how many 3 points that they were missing in the first half. And honestly, I was like, oh, here we go. This team's starting to come back to reality, and then boom, they're right back in it. And to your point about the K-State point guard, he did put up 30 points. I was talking to my dad about this game as well. It just felt like he was shouldering too much of the load. He was, he felt, I don't know if he felt like he had to score every single point, but in watching that game, it felt like he felt he needed to score every single point, from whatever the shots he was taking to some of the passes. Like, I know that there was one, they were having a breakaway and he had a guy wide open, coming behind him down the middle of the lane. So it's, he kind of went through his legs with a bounce pass. Kind of took the other guy off guard because he didn't see it coming. And, they messed up that play as well. So to your point, it really felt like he tried to shoulder the entire load of the game on his shoulders. And, it kind of showed that it takes 5 people to win the game. And Florida they spread the ball out. They had many shooters. Like you just said, their star player didn't, completely dominate the game. The other people stepped up. And I think that that's what you got to do, especially in a tournament format.
I think the other big thing in this game was rebounding. You talked about how they were missing their shots early. I was kind of sitting here watching, going, "Ooh, maybe I wasn't knowing." But I mean, they finished with 44 rebounds to K-State's 22. Anytime you out rebound a team 2-1, you're gonna put up more points. They shot 48% from the field for the game. They only shot 39% from a 3-point line. But I think the rebounds was the really big thing that took it over, because they were getting 2nd and 3rd looks on those misses.
And we talked about that in the game that Florida Atlantic had played previously, that I thought once John L. Davis came down into there and was creating those offensive and defensive rebounds. If you look at it, 2 guards that they have, right? Boyd and Davis combined for 15 rebounds total. That's almost as much as Kansas State had for their entire team. So I just think that seems to be a formula that's really working for them right now, is having those guards crash down, create opportunities and plays.
And as Jeremy was talking about, this FAU team is not a Cinderella story. It's a team that has dominated throughout the season. They did have 3 losses, and of course, they're not in necessarily the strongest conference that they are, but they put up the numbers and they put up the percentages to put to outscore these big boys, and I think that they're continuing to show it. But to your point as well, kudos to K-State for a game played, very hard fought play game, because as you just said, getting out rebounded 2-1 and keeping it within a 1 possession game pretty much the entire time, and only ended up losing by 3. You have to think, if just 2 or 3 of those boards go the other way and they didn't get those opportunities, K-State wins that game, and probably fairly easy if you knock about 5 to 10 of those down.
Yeah, and I think Keontae Johnson getting in foul trouble early really hurt K-State. That was the big thing. It was when him and Noel are working well together, they're formidable. But I mean, the bench for K-State, they scored 9 points. 9 points from the bench. You got to get some bench scoring in games like that when your superstars or your number ones aren't being able to play as many minutes. That's a big thing.
Absolutely. So we got FAU moving on. The next game we had up on there was Gonzaga and UConn, and I mean, this just wasn't even a game.
I think we talked about that when we watched that UCLA Gonzaga game. What did we say? We said doesn't matter what happens in that UCLA Gonzaga game, whoever it is, they're losing to UConn. That is not the matchups that they wanted at all. Listen, UConn pulls. Who do they pull? They pull Miami, UConn, right?
It is Miami, UConn, yes.
That's going to be an interesting game, I feel like.
I
haven't looked at it or had a chance to break it down, but I feel like Miami does have a chance in this, right?
I would think so. I mean, after if we've seen anything without these games, I think pretty much every team has a chance. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think San Diego State has a chance.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, this UConn team looks very, very strong. They look very, very poised. They look very, very in control. They look calm. They look just deadly. So when you have that, but then you also have the underdogs. When you have nothing, to lose, you have your first Final Four in school history. I think that that also translates into go for it mentality, to where sometimes, after the butterflies wear off and everything starts calming down, you start looking into getting that killer instinct. So I think the first half will be very, very interesting in that game. And depending on where it ends up after the first half, I think that's going to determine basically, obviously, the rest of the pace for the game. But I give everybody a chance. I give San Diego State a chance until I see otherwise, because if anything, again, proves in March Madness is you just never know. Now,
San Diego State is favored to win.
I tell you, nobody is giving FIU the props. FAU. Nobody's giving them the props. Nobody's giving
Tyson Thomas when he calls them Florida International instead of Florida Atlantic.
If it's outside of Gainesville, it's very tough for me to understand.
You follow Tallahassee pretty closely too.
Just because I hate you.
Oh, that's cute.
Isn't
it? Congratulations to Miami, by the way. I know we joked about it a few weeks ago when we were saying, man, could you imagine if it was a Miami-Florida Atlantic Final Four? And here we are. We have a chance to actually have a Miami-Florida Atlantic final, which is not out of the realm of possibility whatsoever. I think UConn probably wins this Final Four. I do like Florida Atlantic, though, as well. Miami they're on a great run right now, but I don't know how long that Cinderella glass slipper will stay on. San Diego State, to me, just is boring. I don't like the way they play the game of basketball. You watched that game that they played yesterday against Creighton. What'd you think about it?
The San Diego State Creighton game to me was one of the most painful games to watch of the entire tournament so far. I mean, we had a 57-56 final. It didn't even crack 50 until the very end. There was a few points scored there in the last minute or so, but it was just so painful. And, as some of our other friends described it, it was just because of that stellar defense. It was not because of the stellar defense. It was very, very sloppy. It was very, very uncontrolled. It was a very, very poor game to watch. And then, as we talked about Keontae Johnson and the fouls and the foul troubles and the officiating, and of course we're always going to talk about officiating, but then we come down to the very last play. They call the foul. Could have been a foul. Absolutely could have been a foul. He did hold on to the guy's shirt. It didn't alter the shot in any way, but he did touch him. But that play had happened numerous times beforehand. And I think what we all just want with refereeing, and nobody wants to see the game end like this. Unless you're San Diego State, then I guess you really don't care because you won because of it. But nobody, as a neutral fan of the game, wants to see a game end like this, let alone on something so controversial as this. And this foul had happened numerous times throughout the game, and the refs let him play. And that was something that happened in the next game where there was a lot of stuff going on, and the commentators even saying, boy, the refs are really letting him play. Now, if you're really going to let him play, and that's the standard that you have set throughout the first half, throughout the first 75% of the game, but yet in the last minute you're going to call this a foul now, that's not only unfair to the fans, unfair to the players. You have to keep the same consistency. You have to keep the same energy. And from where that ref was standing, in my opinion, I don't even think he saw the hand because he was behind. And that's another thing that really questions sometimes when you see a lot of foul calls, right, in the NBA, stuff like that. Sometimes the guy that makes the call is not the guy that's looking right at the play. It's the guy in the back. It's the guy in the side that has an obstructed view where it looks like a foul. Again, I'm not saying it wasn't a foul. However, that foul had happened throughout the entire game where people were just getting absolutely destroyed on rebounds, on layups, and no foul was called. But on the end of the game, this is what you call. And, I just hate to see a game end like this for all the kids involved. Now, San Diego State, again, probably loved the call. The guy made, the one free throw to end up, winning it. But, I mean, we were right at the end of the game. It was just a very, very, very painful game to watch. And I wasn't even watching fully. It was on the secondary TV with no sound, and it was that painful. The pain was oozing through the TV onto the couch into my brain. That's how bad this game was, in my opinion. Yes.
Was it the pain or the melatonin? Anyway,
melatonin doesn't come till later.
Not a big deal. Jeremy did propose the question. Do you think this will be the least attended Final Four in the history of its inception? Just because of the teams that you have in there right now, right? Like
Absolutely
UConn
not.
will travel, but you're talking about UConn's going from Connecticut down to Houston, right? And then you have your southern teams in terms of Florida Atlantic and Miami. Those are like niche fan bases, right? Are they dropping everything on a dime to fly out to Houston to watch the games this weekend? San Diego State, I mean, I'm sure they'll have an okay crowd, but you don't have any blue bloods that are in there really besides UConn. But you're missing your Kansas, your Kentucky, your Duke, your perennial guys who travel all the time. Who these fans, this is what they expect. They plan this out for their entire year. They plan to be at the Final Four. Will it be the least attended one in the history of the Final Four?
Absolutely not. I think they'll still sell out.
COVID.
I think that they'll still sell out, and for a couple reasons. First of all, I do believe Miami will travel, because what does the University of Miami ever have to root for, right? I mean, most of their programs are not competitive to this level. This is a one-off opportunity. It's the first Final Four in history, and let's be honest, the people in Miami have a little bit of cash. Houston is a relatively inexpensive town. I don't know what the tickets are going for, but there is nothing without, not within the reach of the Miami people to get there. And I do believe, again, because this is one of the sports where they're actually excelling in, that they will travel. Florida, FAU, that one is not, I don't think they're going to have as many people to travel, but I do believe all of the families, friends, stuff like that, it's not that far of a drive. It's probably going to be about, 16, 17 hours for them for a drive to get over there in Houston. San Diego State, again, I put that in the same category as FAU, as far as, the attendance. And then, of course, I do believe the UConn people will travel. Now, with that being said, I also believe that the people in Houston will buy up the tickets just to go to a Final Four game. So I think you'll have a lot of neutral people in there that are just looking for a basketball game. With that being said, also because between the ticket allotments from the schools and what's bought on the streets, I think the rest of the ticket prices will be very, very reasonable, as opposed to a Duke North Carolina finals where, ticket prices would obviously be sky high. I think the tickets will be very, very reasonable for an average NCAA basketball fan to attend the game and attend a Final Four, even though their team isn't in it. But I do believe that there will be plenty of people there. You'll feel the atmosphere. It will sound loud as just as any other game, depending on what team they're going to root for. because at the end of the day, there's nothing like Final Four basketball and NCAA basketball. And regardless of what team you're a fan of, it's just a great experience to be a part of. So I do believe it'll continue to sell out.
Yeah, I'm looking at ticket prices right now. You can get some under $100. Obviously, those are more nosebleeds, but even, stuff that's, lower bowl, you're talking $200-$300.
Are they playing in the Rockets arena?
They're playing at NRG Stadium. Thank you. NRG Stadium, I believe, is where the Texans play. So they're playing huge.
See, now,
which I hate those. I hate those.
I hate those because just like you said, you put a basketball
elevated.
You put a skirt over like half of this over here because the seats don't apply. But the reason they're doing that is just to put more butts in seats. I mean, they're gonna sell the 400 levels. In my opinion, put it in the same arena as the Houston Rockets play, an NBA team. Sell those tickets. You're still gonna have an amazing atmosphere. But again, like you said, they're trying to get some tickets out there at a lower price. So I don't. Yeah, now that I know that it's in that stadium, it won't sell out, in my opinion. But there'll be plenty of people there.
Plenty of tickets still available, though, folks. Go ahead and log on if you're a fan of Florida Atlantic or Miami. Make sure to get your tickets and show up out there this weekend only. Thank you so much.
Be sure to use code uninformedfan for no discount.
Yeah. At checkout.
The Final Four is set. We have FAU versus San Diego State. We have UConn versus Miami. We're going to break that down a little bit further on our Friday show as those games are going to be airing on Saturday. But kudos to those 4 teams. For those of you that are still in the bracket in the contest for the uninformed fans, shout out to you guys. Looking forward to
one person.
No, there's one person that's UConn, but if they get knocked off, you never know.
There's one person who has. Only one person has a team that can win in the entire bracket.
Correct.
That guy's in first.
Correct.
So
we'll see. You never know, bro. That's why they wait till the end.
Well, what I'm saying is that it's over because I'm sorry.
Well, if UConn,
I don't want to like generalize somebody, but if that person is in the lead, nobody else can gain any points, and they can't lose points. You can only gain points, so it's over.
Well, no, you could still have the teams in the championship game, but lose. You're still going to get points for moving on to the next round.
I don't think anybody has. Okay, maybe.
You know what I'm saying, though, right?
I understand what you're saying.
I'm trying to look it up now.
You'd have to look at what the points are, and then what the max is.
Right? It does appear to be over, but I'm just saying, you just never know.
Yeah,
something could happen. Maybe UConn withdraws, and they lose 5 points. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, speaking of staying in the great state of Texas.
UConn says, never mind. We don't want to play.
We're good. We're satisfied. The WGC Match Play Championship produced some amazing golf over the weekend. What an exciting format. I'm so painful that this is going to go away. I did actually watch a lot of this. I think that this golf brings out way more action than stroke play. We didn't get to see the championship that we wanted to see, but we still got to see some great golf over there. What was one of your biggest takeaways from this weekend, Jeffrey?
My biggest takeaway was, and listen, the boys are going to touch on this on Wednesday. Cam Young now, with having his caddy change, is a game changer, in my opinion. I think we have to look at Cam Young now as a true threat because he's a great ball striker, right? And when you add a caddy of Paul Tesori, a caddy of that relevance, it's only going to improve. And we said we didn't know if there was a learning gap, if there was going to be like a little adjustment time period. There was no adjustment time period. Cam Young played absolutely lights out golf, obviously, except for the final round. He does lose to Sam Burns. And Sam Burns, I've always known about Sam Burns, but I haven't ever been paying that much attention to him. I didn't know he was best friends with Scotty Scheffler. He's been, junior golf all the way up, one of the top guys. He played lights out as well. For him, and I thought it was great too, right? So we get the 2 semifinals. It's Rory and Cam Young, and it's Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns, and the storylines and everything. And then on the semis, they both go to extra holes. And obviously, Scotty Scheffler has a chance to end that match. He plays the 13th hole which if you watch the tournament at all, it's a very short par 4. It's drivable. He drove it on every single one, except for yesterday. He decided to lay way back. He hits a wedge to about 5 feet, steps up to hit the putt, and just, I mean, a putt that he usually probably makes 9 or 8 out of 10 times. He just absolutely pushes, slides by the hole on the right, taps in for par. They move on to the next hole. Sam Burns hits a big birdie putt. Match is over. So that's the beautiful part about match play as well.
He definitely Will Zalatoris it.
Yeah, it wasn't quite a Will Zalatoris, but yeah, it's just that's one of the things about match play that's so beautiful is that it kind
as
of
well on
shot to shot.
as well as 18, right? He had a fairly easy 5-6 footer on 18 to win the match, and he missed it to let it go into extra inning. Scotty Sheffy.
Scotty, I was in and out of seeing it and seeing what was going on.
Yeah, he had
catch the tail end, but
he probably had like a 5-footer to win it on 18, which everybody of course thought he was making, and he pushed it right on that one as well, and he missed one on 16. So he definitely, but you know, like Country Club Chad was saying, well, he just didn't want to blow the doors off his best buddy. You know, he wanted to kind of throw him a bone there. You know, one of the things I talked about match play is you get to see much more aggressive golf, and everyone loves to see aggressive golf. You know, we're talking about who's basically out driving who's going to put it closer to the pin. It was amazing after the quarterfinals. Rory was giving his interview, and he was talking about, you know, how well he's played, and how he knew he was going to have to play this well. And he mentioned, I think, between the first 2 rounds, that he was 18 under par between those 2 rounds. Holy crap. I mean, but that's what match play gives us. It gives us the firing at the pins where, you know, you're not afraid to blow a putt 4 feet by if that's what it takes in order to win the hole. You're going for it. You're aggressive. It's such an amazing format than you know, and I'm not saying that stroke play is a snooze fest, but sometimes stroke play is a snooze fest. This is such a great mix up, switch up to the normal PGA stuff that we have going on. And I really, really hope that they figure something out to bring this back, because what an awesome. I did see another stat that since Scotty Scheffler lost, that Tiger Woods is the only one to defend this title, and I think he did it 8 times.
Incredible.
8 times.
I mean, we just continue to appreciate Tiger's greatness more and more as we continue to matriculate through the years. It is very interesting to me as well. You know, obviously, you said Rory switches the driver, right, and goes to a shorter one, which helps his kick point, which you were talking about as well on Wednesday. But it was funny when we were talking on Wednesday. I remember, I've watched the match play, but not to the point that I watched it this year, right? Just because of everything we got going on with the show and also with our golf group that we have. So I'm watching it, and I think I mentioned, I said, what would the winning score be if this was stroke play on this course? Because the way the course sets up, it can play very easy. It's very short. And for these guys who boom the ball, like, you know, they're hitting, I think I saw some 390-yard drives because of, you know, the undulation and stuff that they have in terms of the hills rolling down in Texas. So it was very cool. And to hear Rory say, yeah, 18 under would have been his score through 2 rounds. I thought that, yeah, 30 under would probably be the winning score if they were to play stroke play there, which makes it even more fun for match play because it's birdies everywhere. You know, it's like if you don't make birdie, you're probably losing the hole. So it's even more intense. I thought it was a great format. I thought it was a great week for the PGA as well too. Is Live Golf still a thing?
Yeah, they're here in a couple weeks.
I just don't hear anything about it whatsoever, which is crazy. So.
It's being suppressed.
Will be sorely missed. Austin Country Club. Yeah, they got to figure something out with that. They got to get back on that course somehow. It's been a historical course for the PGA Tour. You know, I know numbers and dollars got to make sense, but figure something out.
Exactly, and you know, with as you were talking about Live, you know, that did push the PGA to create more money purses for these guys, to create some of these different events and some no-cut events and stuff like that. And as Rory said, there's always been some no-cut events, but yet they never were very prevalent, but now they're going to be more prevalent. You know, guys, we're asking you. This is one of the best things to look forward to, other than in 2 weeks, which is my mecca of golf, which is when I'm glued to the TV from Thursday through Sunday, is the Masters that's coming up in 2 weeks. But this is something that I always enjoyed. Somebody that played match play golf, it was always so fun to play this format because, again, you have a bad hole, it's literally gone. You don't have to worry about it. It's not like you have a bogey or double bogey and you're thinking about, well, I need to make a birdie here to make up for that. No, it's just gone. You just literally play every hole the way it is. It's such a great format. PGA, get your shit together, write the check, do whatever you got to do. Let's make it happen.
Masters is going to be kind of crazy too because you got so many guys that are playing well and so many guys that are at the top of their game right now. You know, rolling into that tournament. Now you add a Cam Young to that environment. You got Xander who played very well for the match play. Rory's got his driver figured out. Jordan's been playing really well. You got Scotty who's been on fire. Now let's add in a Sam Burns. You know, let's add in the Lees and the Woos and the
Lee Woo. And I think this is going to be the first event, right, with Liv back rejoining the PGA.
Yeah. Now you add in DJ. You add in Bryson, who's had success here. I mean, Zalatoris is going to be a sleeper for a lot of people. Because
is Phil playing?
Performs well, huh?
Is Phil playing?
I don't know if Phil's gonna have the balls to show up. Not to mention, we're gonna have Tiger freaking Woods there, dude. Like,
why would Phil not have the balls to show up?
I don't know. I just don't think he does.
I don't think Phil gives a flying, about anything.
I think Phil puts off that persona for 100%. I think that's Phil's shell that he uses to protect himself, that he puts out that he doesn't care. I think he actually really, really legitimately cares, and he doesn't want the reception that he's going to get when he comes back.
And you feel that reception would be by who? The players or the fans?
Yes. I think the fans will be 50-50 because the fans were always, 95-5 toward Phil. But I think he's lost a lot of that goodwill that he had going forward. And, I think it's a good topic we can ask the boys on Wednesday.
I'd love to discuss that
about it as well.
Because I'm going to stick with the fact that if you were a Phil fan before, you're still a Phil fan. At least that's, my mentality as a Phil fan. I'm still a Phil fan. It would be nice to see him out there. It would be really, really nice to see him out there. And honestly, regardless of the comments that he's made, what they did in his comments pushed the PGA outside of their shell and has created a better PGA. So regardless of what you feel, how they're doing it, I think that's something we'll talk about on Wednesday with the boys on our Gap Wedge Wednesday. But I think that's going to be a very, very interesting topic for the next 2 weeks about who's playing, who's not, and what it's going to be like to have the live golfers right alongside the people when basically they were talking shit about each other for quite a while. There could be some seriously interesting foursomes. Some seriously interesting foursomes with that.
They keep it at 3, right? 3 balls?
Yeah, I think it's 3.
Yeah.
Jay just popped in and said supposedly Phil is playing at the Masters. That would be very, 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 very interesting. All right, we'll definitely touch base on that on Gap Wedge Wednesday. As we mentioned Friday, the NBA is finally heating up. We're finally starting to see some passion out of the players as we push to the playoffs, and the 7 through 10 is really heating up. Oh boy, LeBron, Jeffrey's GOAT, came back last night for a nice reception from the baby Bulls out there in LA, where the Bulls literally manhandled the Lakers all night long. They were up by 20 for most of the game. To see LeBron out there, and it was really, really interesting to me that the Bulls had David Caruso. Alex. David Caruso. Oh, CSI. That's where it is. Alex Caruso, the redhead, bro. The redhead. Alex Caruso guarding LeBron James last night for at least the majority of what I saw, which was just very, very interesting to me because obviously you got Alex Caruso, who is former teammates, a smaller, point guard-ish, and then you have the brick shit house that is LeBron, that anytime you basically wanted to go to the rim, he just kind of just went bloop and kind of pushed him out the way, and he kind of went tumbling. But it was his first game back. It was to Jeff's point. I think he called about a couple weeks ago, if not last week, about Austin Reeves, and he didn't have his best game. But as I was telling Jeffrey, he just seemed to be in the right place at the right time. Lots of great facilitating, moving the ball. He looked really, really good. And it's just, if you're a Laker fan, I mean, you got to be scratching your head at this team, and the fact of, again, we talked about LeBron James and Anthony Davis. In regards to the fact of when LeBron James is there, Anthony Davis kind of retreats a little bit. And I saw a little bit of that last night as well. He deferring more to LeBron, to where Anthony Davis, when LeBron wasn't there, the Lakers had a great run with Anthony being Anthony. I don't know. Do you think that there's some chemistry there that's just not working? Do you think that,
1,000%, absolutely. You're talking about Anthony Davis only puts up 8 shots yesterday.
It was really, really
Doesn't
weird.
Take a 3-pointer. Goes 3 of 6 from the free throw line.
Well, what would be the reasoning for that? Like behind closed doors, being, I'm not shooting it if LeBron's on the court. Like I don't understand it.
I don't know. It's really weird. I mean, so Austin Reeves, yeah, he was 6 of 10 yesterday from the field. Did score 13 points. Knocks down 1 3, plays 37 minutes. Plus minus was minus 11. Not great. LeBron comes back. Only the second time in LeBron's career he's ever come off the bench was yesterday. It's not something that he does very often, and I don't think it's something he should ever do. But he does still play 30 minutes, even coming off the bench. 6 of 11 from the field, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Pours in 19 points. They got a real problem, and I don't know how to fix it for them.
They have even more of a scary problem here, and I'm going to throw it out to you. They might miss the play-in. We were talking about them possibly getting up to the 16 seed, or the 6th seed, I apologize. And right now they are tied with Oklahoma City for the 10th seed at this point.
Yeah, wow. I don't think they'll miss the play-in though. Well, I mean, if they lose the rest of the games, yes, they will miss the play-in. But I have to figure and think that somehow they will make the play-in game.
Are you suggesting shenanigans?
Yes, absolutely. I do think I think it's crazy what Dallas is going through right now, right? In terms of you get Kyrie and Luka, and we said the whole time, I don't know about that matchup. It just seems like you're giving Kyrie and Harden, who play this exact same role, you're putting them back together again, and Kyrie and Luka, and sure enough, Dallas is pretty much out of the playoffs right now.
I saw a little something.
Their fall from grace has been terrible. And Luka, who went off for 40 yesterday, they still lost. Got his 16th technical foul. He's going to be suspended tonight, I believe, against the Pacers because he hit his technical limit. So,
you say that they're not going to make. They're only a game out. But I did see something about Luka hinting as to getting out of Dallas. Did you happen to see anything of that?
He was basically saying that he's lost a lot of joy the second half of this year.
Basically when Kyrie came?
He's not having fun playing basketball right now. And it is, pretty much when Kyrie came, that's kind of when all that happened. But when Kyrie came, Luka was also hurt too. So, Kyrie came in while Luka was out for a few weeks, steps in, immediately becomes the go-to scorer, becomes the man, distributor, facilitator, everything that Kyrie does and does very well. But he does break down teams. Unfortunately.
He does. And it's such an amazing talent. I remember watching him when, back in the day on the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron. And man, that kid has got so much talent. It just amazes me that, in any league, in any sport, it doesn't really matter how much talent you have. You have to have synergy with your teammates. You have to be able to get along. You have to be able to do the right thing, say the right thing, and have that kind of locker room cohesion. And he obviously just doesn't.
I do want to give a big shout out as well to a team that's very near and dear to my heart in the Orlando Magic, and just say, you guys are doing a great job.
# we believe.
I mean, I don't believe there's zero shot they're making the play-in game. They're 4.5 games back of Chicago. Chicago is definitely not slowing down at all. Chicago is interesting to me. Chicago, I feel like, could get up into that 8 seed, right? But then do you want the 8 seed? You're gonna be playing the Bucks. I don't know.
Well, you'd be playing the Heat in the play-in tournament.
I guess Boston. Well, I don't care about the play-in tournament.
You're saying that they win the play-in. You're saying they win the play-in
tournament. Yeah, because I think the Bulls are a very sneaky. Staying healthy is going to be key for them. But you give me that team. I kind of like their odds against most of these other teams.
I like them, and I hope my family members are listening. I like them against Boston.
Absolutely,
I like that. I like that matchup against Boston, to be 100% honest.
I think the matchups are fine when you're talking about Levine and DeRozan matching up with Tatum and with Brown. Obviously, there's a little bit. You have 2 junkyard dogs and Marcus Smart and Patrick Beverly banging head to head against each other. But listen, let's be honest. Where the mismatch is going to be down in the post. Yep. I think Vucevic is definitely better than Williams. He can draw him out because Vooch does shoot the three. That's going to open up the inside. That creates problems on rotations. It's going to create wide open threes with the way that Caruso is playing right now. I like the Bulls right now.
I think the Bulls. I texted my cousin last night. I go, hey man, I know you've given up on the Bulls, but keep an eye on them. They're going to make some waves in the playoffs. And of course, being the Chicago sports fans that we are, he gave me back the, okay, yeah, you know, when it happens, let's see. But I'll tell you, after watching Zach LaVine, you know, watching flashes of him, man, that kid is something else. I just
incredible.
I mean, holy moly, dude! I think back to when the before this season started, they were talking about possibly bringing Derrick Rose back, and you know, last night watching some of the explosive plays that he had just running down the lane, man. Gosh, it gave me Derrick Rose flashbacks. It was so good. I really hope that they can keep this team together in regards to when I'm talking about mental state, not roster. But I just
have you ever watched Patrick Beverley's or listened to Patrick Beverley's podcast that he has?
I don't. However, I did enjoy last night. You know, obviously it was the first time back in LA after being basically, you know, released or whatever. And he was down in the lane on LeBron and kind of did a little fake and little hook over him. And of course he made it. And LeBron turned around and Pat Bev is going like this, like, you're too small. You know, like 6 inches off the. I'm just like, come on, Pat Bev. That's like one of those things, right? Where they talked about the old days, like Jordan and stuff like that. You don't poke the bear when it's sleeping, right? That's why I was like, oh, great, here we go. Now LeBron's gonna go off and 50 points and score. It's just one of those.
They have a really good relationship, from what I understand. Pat Bev and LeBron.
I'm sure it was all fun.
It's just a big mutual respect between the two of them, for the way that they play the game. We had this argument last night, and I'd be curious to see your thoughts on it. Somebody said that what do you think LeBron would be in the previous era? The Lambeer, Isaiah Thomas, you know, Jordan, Bird, Magic, in that era. How do you think LeBron would be?
I think it probably, you know, as far as gameplay stuff, I think he'd be pretty close to Magic Johnson in the way that Magic Johnson played.
I said I think he would be better, and the reason is that you're allowed to be physical. I feel like LeBron has gotten to a point now where, when he first came into the league, he wasn't like this, but being in the league so long and the way that the game has changed since he's been in there, he is kind of very reactionary to what the NBA is right now. But I think if you put him in that era, his size, his physicality, the way that he'd be able to hand check people, like, imagine you trying to back down or blow by LeBron and he's able to hand check you. Like, you're not going to be able to get anywhere at all. Well, you know, he's just going to move you every time and force you in front of him. You know what I mean? So,
one of the best takes I think I saw on this was, again, JJ Redick, who his basketball knowledge to me has just really blown me away lately. But he was talking about in that era how there was no help defense and you're basically on an island by yourself. And to that point as well, if he wants to score, I think he's going to score. I think it would have been a very, very interesting time. Unfortunately, we have felt the need to change the rules to soften up the league to get more action, to get more points, and we won't ever really know. But I think his game would emulate that of Magic Johnson's.
Yes.
Probably not as many assists, though, as Magic Johnson. Well, but more points.
But yeah, he's obviously a better shooter than Magic. As well. But yeah, it's funny. I saw a highlight that when Tracy McGrady scored like 13 points in 40 seconds or whatever of that game against the Spurs, and I was just dying laughing because I'm watching this highlight, and with 45 seconds left, I think the score was like 74-65 San Antonio. And I'm like, dude, this is a first half score in the NBA right now. And we're not that far removed from that, but we have jumped the shark so much in terms of what we allow and how easy we make it on people.
I'll tell you, the San Antonio Spurs have to be one of the biggest falls of grace. I mean, when you think about how long they dominated, you know, David Robinson, we got the Ginobili, you know, up until
Tim Duncan, Tony Parker.
Up until like, you know, Thursday. God damn it, Jeremy. Up until, you know, a few years ago, you know, and to see Pop, you know, obviously one of the greatest coaches of all time, you know, to coaching a team that has 19 wins right now is pretty disheartening, and I just don't understand what
they are tanking.
Yeah, they're
right
bad.
Now for Wembayama. They are 1,000% in 100% tank mode. They've gotten a few interesting pieces. that they've got in that I think are going to be really good compliments if they get the kid. But they have gone all in on Tank this year because they have some players that can play. When you're talking about a Devin Vassell kid who, obviously came from my alma mater, Florida State, but really an everything player and has really grown into his own this year as well too. But yeah, you're right. The fall from grace is hard, and we say it comes fast sometimes as well too.
Absolutely. Well, we do have a big week coming up the rest of this week. We got Wednesday. We got Gap Wedge Wednesday with Chad and Paul. That's going to be on. We're going to break down the WGC. Then we're going to break down this week's, and then of course we might just give a little preview into the Masters, just maybe. The Masters is 2 weeks away, which is one of the greatest golf events of all time, in my opinion. One of the most prestigious tournaments that's out there, in my opinion. So
I did get a small little preview because I asked him. I said, "Oh, so what tournament do we have this week?" And he goes, "Oh, Valero, Texas Open, blah blah blah." I go, "Okay." He goes, "Be ready for a lot of Charlie Hoffman talk."
I was gonna say a lot of people skip this tournament.
But listen, people skip this tournament, but this is why you need to tune in on Wednesday because people skip this tournament. The information that you're gonna get from the guys on Wednesday is gonna be the best information that you can have because you're trying to sift through all the shitty golfers that are going to be playing in this tournament. So,
and they know because as we were watching the match play, Chad was talking about turning over to whatever the
Punta Cana.
I'm like, what?
He had the winner. He took Wallace to win. Wallace won. He made 4 birdies in a row between like 13 and 16 or something like that, and capped the tournament.
That's how you know the boys are grinding for you right there. Okay, when we're talking about the Punta Cana tournament in Puerto Rico.
Like I'm with Chad last night, and he's like, "Oh, it's a celebration, William Wallace."
I had no idea. I had no idea who he was talking about on that text. He said William Wallace. I'm like, I thought he was talking about a Texas player. I'm looking at the last names. Like, is there a William? Is there a Wallace? I had no idea until you just said that.
Yeah, Matt Wallace, the guy who won the tournament, went absolutely crazy in the final round to bring it home for a country club Chad. So,
good. Congratulations, Chad.
We'll be here on Wednesday. We can't wait for it.
Absolutely. So we're gonna have golf talk on Wednesday. We're also gonna be talking about Thursday, which is one of my favorite days in the entire calendar year. It's when every Cub fan has hope. We're talking about opening day 2023 for Major League Baseball. So we're really looking forward to that. We'll have a little bit of Cubs information for you here. We'll talk a little bit about projections, where teams are supposed to be, where are they going to be, maybe some deep dive odds. You just never know what's going to happen here on the Uninformed Fan, so make sure you stay tuned for that on Wednesday.
Braves talk as well. Braves talk will be happening. Isn't our producer flying to Chicago for the game?
He is. He was looking for someone to tail along with, but I told him I'd be happy to go, but there ain't no shot we're making a return flight in one day. There's no way.
Yeah. So and Jeremy, come in real quick.
Yeah. Yes.
What's your plan? Give me the breakdown on the day and how this is going to all unfold.
The itinerary is as follows. It's a 7:05 a.m. flight out of Orlando.
This is on Thursday? I'm sorry?
This is Thursday morning.
Okay.
I'm supposed to land at O'Hare around 9:30ish.
Okay.
I will Uber to the stadium. My friend Drew, who actually has the tickets, has an early into the stadium, so we get to go in an hour before everybody else. And then game time is at 1:00 against the Brewers. The projected forecast right now is 40 degrees and possible rain. And then the return flight is at 7:57 from O'Hare, and I'll be landing at 11:30 Thursday night.
It'll be by 12:30.
I appreciate the dedication to make sure that you're back for the Friday show. I really do appreciate that dedication there. It's funny. We talked a little bit about this before the stream. Is I used to go to Chicago for every opening day from like God, I'm going to date myself here, from probably like 2000 to let's just say it was 8 years in a row. Okay, let's just say it was 8 years in a row, regardless of where I was at. And I'll never forget, it was April 15th, I think it was 2011, and we opened up against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And it was very similar to what you're talking about. Me and my father were sitting there. The high was 34 degrees and it was raining, and we had just pre-gamed over at High Tops, and we're looking at each other in the third inning, and we looked at each other and like, what the hell are we doing here? what made us pay to have a flight, a hotel, to sit in this miserable conditions? We left at that inning. We went back and had a nice time at High Tops across the road and never went back. So kudos to you for flying back into this. This is a very, very, as we were talking, very early opening day in Chicago. Usually they push these things back till, like I said, at least mid-April to try to avoid it. But kudos to you, good sir. Kudos to you.
You know, I am off on Thursday.
No.
Yo,
No.
ticket, by the way, has just opened up. And guess what? The high's now 48, so we're doing better.
I will not be. There's no shot that you're gonna get me. Anyway, if you know me, you know that ain't happening.
Jeff is what we like to call a paper fan. For those of you questioning what that is, he likes to he likes to root for his teams on paper where it doesn't cost him money. And the more and the older that I'm getting, and the more involved I get in teams, the more I am completely aligned with Jeffrey. Completely aligned.
Listen, I think there's a romanticism of going to games and doing like something that Jeremy's doing, right? And like flying out, seeing the game, flying back, you know, showing the dedication, the love for your team. But I also am a realist, and I appreciate my servers and bartenders who take great care of me. And I love to have my own TV, my own space, my own personal somebody bringing me beverages that I want to consume or food that I want or whatever it is with the sound onto my game in my spot in my bar. Doesn't get any better than that.
Well, I would have to disagree because I think that my couch is quite comfy as well. Now, I do have to get up to get it my own beverage.
Yeah.
But I am missing out on some wonderful company and conversation sometimes with the likes of you.
You do have a bartender and server at home that can take care of you as well, though. So.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She is retired when she walks in that door. I am the bartender server. I do what she needs to be done. Absolutely.
Smart man.
He just said there's a 40% chance of snow Wednesday night. You're it.
So, hey,
all right. Listen. With that being said, Wednesday we're coming back. Gap Wedge Wednesday. We're going to break down a little MLB baseball talk to get us started for opening day. Hope everybody has a great Monday. We will see you then.